It's Friday! Friday! John McKay, isn't that wonderful?
Yay!
It's May 8th, if you need to be reminded, and sometimes we do.
Yay, yay, the 8th of May.
There you go. I've changed my plan on today. We are definitely going to talk about beer, don't you worry. 'Cause, yeah, we're going to talk about beer. But off the top here, we're going to talk about the Tri-Cities teachers' decision to, they voted yesterday, overwhelmingly, last night in fact, to do a one-day walkout. That's coming up May 21st. And they want to express to the legislature that they want full funding for education. They are concerned about how the legislature is going to deal with the McCleary decision, the state Supreme Court decision to fully fund education. They want reduced class sizes. They want pay increases. You know, the legislature's in special session right now. Their focus is the budget, and education funding is front and center in that. Today, I've invited Representative Larry Haler. He represents the 8th District and has for quite a few years now. Representative Haler, thank you so much for joining us at this last minute.
Well, it's a great honor to be here. I appreciate you asking me to be here.
Good. Larry, tell me, how does the legislature use the messaging of walkouts of this type?
We kind of are dismayed because we have been working on this particular issue, and we do fully fund education for the first time in over 25 years. We have a $2.7 billion biennial increase that we're going to be putting into higher education, or I should say K through 12 education. We are fully funding teachers' COLAs according to the approved I-9, I-732 that was approved by the voters a few years ago. We're putting $2.7 billion as an increase into the K through 12 education, as I said before, and $1.3 billion of that is new money going into McCleary policy ads. We're also giving the teachers an increase, K through 12, of $230 million across the state, and there's another $210 million that's going into pay for the teacher pensions, for the pensions that the teachers are already drawing on because there's been longer, they're living longer, and we have to make that deficit up with $210 million. And that's all done without tax increases. Now,
Okay, so you're saying those are in the proposal for the budget? They haven't been approved yet.
That has not been approved,
Okay.
and that is where we're at right now. The House Democrats and the Republicans, or I should say and the governor, want to raise our taxes by $1.5 billion. We have $3 billion that are coming in new over this biennium. We're using all those $3 billion to meet our K through 12 obligations, plus the McCleary decision, and plus also meet all of our other state needs too, without raising taxes.
So, do you not think that the concerns that the teachers have here are legitimate?
Oh, I believe that they are.
Okay.
They're definitely legitimate. Teachers are not being disrespected, have not been disrespected, but because of other priorities in the state and the fact that we didn't have McCleary facing us like we do today, I think that we're solely focused on K through 12 education. In fact, my last day before I came home last week on Thursday, we spent 8 hours in appropriations discussing teacher pay increases, as well as how we're going to redo the levy system in this state so it's more equitable across the board.
So there's still, proposals are being discussed. Do you have any idea when you might be called to take a vote on what's developed?
Well, we're still negotiating, and I do know that we have another appropriations meetings on Wednesday and Thursday next week, and then the following week there's a proposal that we come back into session on a Wednesday and do some voting on some bills. Now, I don't know whether those are going to be the final budget bills, or if there are some bills that are going to be necessary to implement the budget that we'll be voting on. We did that Wednesday of last week, one of my bills to reduce tuition, and take tuition authority back from universities and give it to the legislature where it belongs, was passed out of the House for the second time, sent over to the Senate unanimously. It'll probably more than likely be passed by the Senate unanimously in discussions I've had with Senate members, and then go on to the governor for signature.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you know the name of this program here is called Meet in the Middle.
Yes, I'm ready.
So I'm going to assume that the word compromise is being used in Olympia when you're talking about the budget.
Oh, absolutely. There is compromise going on. The sticking point again is, do we raise taxes? Do we really need to raise taxes? Especially since the economy throughout the state is very fragile right now. There are very strong pockets of economy, such as in the Tri-Cities, a little bit in Spokane. You see a very strong economy in the Seattle area, but when you get out into the Okanagan area and up north, up into Bellingham, and you get down closer to Vancouver area, the economy is not doing that well. So this is not the time to raise taxes. We have enough money to cover everything, all of our needs, and cover K through 12 education needs. And more you pour money into something doesn't mean it's going to be better. But we have a court obligation which is either constitutionally or not constitutionally correct. We can argue both sides of that, but we are trying to live up to the McClary decision, and it is requiring the legislature to put more money into the schools, K through 12. But putting more money into something doesn't mean it's going to get better. So we are setting up systems and checks and balances in our decisions and in our bills to make sure that there's follow through, to make sure that we are achieving what we're trying to do with the extra money.
All right. Representative Haler, thank you so much for coming in, even at this last minute when I called this morning at 8 a.m. and said, oh, please join us. So I really, really do appreciate. And you know, people, if you want to provide some input on this issue or any other issue facing the legislature, here's what I say. I'm not going to give specific, just Google Representative Larry Haler and you'll get all the information you need about how to contact him. Thank you, Larry.
Well,
really
thank you so very
it.
much.
All
I really
right.
appreciate it, too.
Here's my question. Can you guess what the overall beer market is in the U.S.? I want you to think about that over the break. Here's a hint. It's in the billions. This is just too much fun, people, I tell you. Too
Country singer
much
Kip
fun.
Moore. He was here in the
Yeah.
Tri-Cities recently.
John McKay has all of the history and the knowledge. I really appreciate that. All right, I don't know. Did you think about that question that I asked you? How much money is spent on beer sales? Here it is. $101.5 billion. That's the overall beer sales. What about craft beers? $19.6 billion. So you can see that's growing. And that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about craft beers. Let me tell you, I got 3 people in the studio. Gosh, we hardly even have enough furniture for all of this, but we're working it, people. We're working it. We have Carly Templeton. She's from Atomic Ale. We have Daniel Washam from Dee's Wicked Cider, and Russ Corey from Ice Harbor. And let me tell all 3 of you, I have tasted and enjoyed all of your products. I love beer.
Right, thank
Yeah,
you.
so does John.
Excellent.
And all 3 of these folks and their products are going to be at Untapped this weekend, and we'll hear more about that a little bit later. Just let me tell you one sidebar. When I talked to Dan to get him set up to come here, he says, "Do you remember me?" And I'm like, "Oh, Dan, I'm sorry, I don't." He's like, "Well, about 15 years ago, I worked at the TV station at KNDU. He worked with our photography, and he ran the teleprompter." And I told him today I'm so happy that he's moved on to a real job and a real career. Yeah, it's so nice to have you here.
I just
thank
had a
you much.
Ron Burgundy flashback. Teleprompter.
Yes. Oh my gosh, now they run them themselves with, it's a foot pedal. So, all right. Growing in popularity is craft beer. I mean, I don't want Miller Beer to know, but man, I've transitioned. I always go for a craft beer. Why? What's going on? What's behind this popularity? Corey? Yeah.
No,
Yeah, go ahead,
oh
Corey.
yeah, I think people like more flavor in their beer. That's one of the things, craft definitely has more. And one of the things that's driving the growth of craft is IPA, hoppy beers, and people like that flavor. But there's all sorts of other things going on too. And another thing that craft beer has is a huge variety of beer, and pretty much a beer for everybody.
A beer for everybody and a
Yeah.
lot of taste. Oh, okay. What do you think?
I think that, as far as the microbrews are concerned, a lot of them are independent, locally owned. I think that's one thing for sure. as
Yeah.
Russ was saying, beer with flavor. I mean, once you have a beer that has a good amount of flavor to it, it's more than just, you know, something else. You don't want to go back. You want to continue to try. And there's so many brew pubs out here that are doing so many creative and unique brews. And you go to one brew pub, it's going to be different from another brew pub, and you're trying all these different flavors, and it's really exciting.
It is exciting. I love to go there and learn about the various beers. You're doing cider though, Dan.
I am.
Yeah. So how's that different?
Well, cider's legally a wine. We're made from fruit, not from grains, but it's made like a beer. And the best part about it, in my opinion, what I think is really catching on with the craft, is the relationships. We get to have a relationship with our consumers. It's not so impersonal. They get to actually come in and enjoy.
Yeah, cider's got a history. You know, early in our country, it was more popular than beer. You know, through like the early 1800s.
So this is not beer that you guys are not producing beer like, you know, in your garage. I mean, these are major kinds of production facilities that you have. I don't know, it's not like Anheuser-Busch, I don't mean that, but it's quite a process. How long does it take to make a batch of beer? I don't know.
It takes, ours, anywhere from 10 days would be a fast, maybe the fastest you can get one ready on up to, 3 weeks to a month. Some might take a couple months, 2 or 3 months to get ready.
What's the difference in the longer it goes? What does that do to the beer?
Well, there's a maturation that goes on, like your lager, type beers, like Pilsner beers. The aging process kind of helps in the develop the flavor and the crispness of the beer. Some beers are stronger, like barley wines. They might take 6 months or 12 months to really to age enough where you want to drink them, or maybe some are aged a couple years, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, so there's so much opportunity to taste the different types of beers. That's what I enjoy about it. Let me remind you of our phone number here. It's 509-547-8726. And if you have a great comment or question for our guest today, please give us a call. Here's what else I've noticed. The Northwest seems to be building into this. It's like a mecca. I mean, not only do we have the wine industry, but now really the craft beer industry is really growing. Why is that?
It's what we hit on earlier. It's just people are discovering, new brew pubs. I mean, for me, when I go on vacations, my family can attest, I stop at brew pubs all along the way, and I'm trying different kinds of beer, and I'm trying different kinds of food. You're going to get so much uniqueness out of breweries that you're not going to find at a lot of other places. On top of the fact that people are into beer and they want to drink good beer, so it's fun to go out and try different brew pubs and try different product.
But what do you think? Why is it of the Northwest that we're
nationwide? It's craft is growing like crazy. Some places more than others. Some places like the southeast kind of got into it. On the last part of it, but the Northwest was where it all really started back in the early '80s with Burt Grant's and Pyramid. Hale's Brewery started then, and also we have the hops. Most of the hops in the United States are grown here in the Yakima Valley. Probably close to 25% of the world's hops are grown here in the Yakima Valley, and a place like Portland. There's Portland's got like a 40% market share for craft beer, local beer. They're kind of more local, I think, than necessarily craft. I think they really want their, beer to be kind of home produced.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I think about when I think about Oregon. So here's, we in the Tri-Cities region, this region, are working incredibly hard to create wine tourism, basically, to bring people here to enjoy these wines, buy these wines, and spend their money. So can beer and wine coexist in an area? I mean, is there room for us to have both of these attractions?
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. I think, beer and wine are kind of, a little different as far as, you know, I'm not sure if the beer tourism thing is really gonna. People like to just go in and enjoy a beer. I'm not sure if they necessarily, you know, want to go and travel and taste. You know, like wine, you go in, you taste, maybe you buy a couple cases, but you know, there's some of that with beer. But I think most of it's just kind of in the moment and enjoying beer. I think
So maybe if people are coming here for the wine, you can convince
Oh, for
them
sure.
to stop and have a beer at the same time.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's an experience with brew pubs. I mean, they're catching on. Anybody that's been to Full Sail or Deschutes, that's why they're building so many of them.
Yeah, there is a lot of building going on. I want to talk a little bit about all the variety of flavors. I mean, I gotta tell you that Ice Harbor, I love the tangerine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that's good stuff. So, what kinds of things are you at? Is it the sky's the limit in what you can add, or
Well,
what? How does that work?
there's different, you know, all sorts of different flavors. You know, you get bitterness, hoppiness. You know, the hops give you a kind of, you know, fruitiness, citrus flavors. There's other beers, you know, people that are doing, they're, you know, like doing sour beers. That's another flavor. There's a brewery, I can't remember, they're have like a chocolate cake stout or something like that. I can't remember. Someone was telling me about it the other day. I think it's icicle.
Yeah, German chocolate cake
German
stout.
chocolate cake
It's
stout.
good.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I'd like to try that one.
The sky really is the limit. I mean, you know, at Atomic, you know, we like to use fresh fruit in our beer. We've got a strawberry blonde that's going to be coming out here soon. We're actually going to have it at Untapped for all you
Nice.
people.
Mm.
But the sky's the limit. You can do anything with beer. You can add anything. You can make, you know, there's up in Spokane, there's a jalapeno ale.
Oh.
The sky is the limit. You can put anything in beer. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to taste good, but you can put anything in beer and you can try it, and that's you know, part of the fun of working at a brew pub and being able to be creative and try new things.
We put beer in our cider. We mix stout half and half, and it's a whole nother thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think, I forget which one of your places I was at recently when somebody said, well, if you like this, but you like that, why don't you just combine them?
Oh yeah, when
Oh, yeah.
blending, yeah, that's allowable. That's blending's done. You know, they do it in wine. They do it in. Oh, there's like the Belgians. You know, they'll blend their beers. I think one of the things about the United States, I think it's become now where there's so much more. There's more variety of beer here than anywhere in the world. You know, we've kind of copied some places like, you know, learned from, you know, Belgium, England, and Germany, but we kind of brought it to our own, you know, put our own stamp on it, and there's so many, close to 4,000 breweries out there now, and there's so many people doing
4,000
different.
in the United States?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, wow.
yeah.
That's a big number.
Many more to come too.
Many more to come. That's just it. I want to talk about the future when we come back to find out what the three of you and just the industry as it relates to here in the Tri-Cities. Quite frankly, that's all I care about is what's going on here. So that's what we will talk about when we get back. Stick around. And our phone number, 509-547-8726. You're listening to News Talk 870. Toby Keith, that's so fun. We're talking about beer. We're talking about craft beer. And in our studio today, we have Carly Templeton from Atomic Ale, Daniel Washam from Dee's Wicked Cider or Sun River Vintners, and also Russ Corey from Ice Harbor. You know, I want to talk a little bit about the future, but let's go back to in your brew pubs or even in your tasting room. Do you offer like flights, kind of like wine, where a customer can, you know, taste 3 or 4 things at once?
We do at Atomic. We call them samplers, some people call them flights. It's 4 ounces of each one of the beer that we have on tap, and we typically have 7 beers on tap. So you can try each one that we have on tap and see what you like.
Yeah, really kind of developing your taste, even like wine, between white and red. There are so many different, you know, strengths, I guess.
Yeah, we do the same thing too. We have a sampler tray, and I think there's 6 on there, and I can't remember how much it is, but
Yeah.
you know, but they're like about 4 ounces on each one.
I'm going to do that next time I'm at your 2 places. And what about Dee's Wicked there?
Oh, absolutely, we do that. There's no other point. That's what, you know, we're there to taste.
Sampling, yeah,
Mhm.
because you know you might not think that you like a particular style of beer. I mean, I look at dark beers and I'm like, you know, no, I don't care for that. But You know, I said that about red wine, so you develop taste for it, don't you?
You absolutely do. I mean, you know, wine and beer, there's a lot of similarities. People taste different things when they try it. That's the beauty about it, is that nobody has the same taste buds. And so when you go and you taste a beer, you're going to taste something different than somebody else, and that's okay. You know, you don't have to be somebody that's gone to school for it. You taste what you taste, you like what you like, and when you go to brew pumps, ask for a sample. We are more than happy to give you samples, and we want you to try our beer and see what you like.
It even changes seasonally for people.
Absolutely, we do
Yes.
that at Atomic as well.
Yes. Well, why don't you share with people what you're going to be bringing to Untapped? We'll talk to Al a little bit later about the particulars about the event, but tell me the kinds of things, what you're bringing so that people will be able to taste it on Saturday.
Now, we'll be bringing our Tangerine Hefeweizen
Oh, yes.
and our IPA.
Mm.
So those are they're our two most popular beers. So.
Good. People, check out that tangerine.
Yeah.
It's really delicious. All right. What about it? Wicked D's.
Well, we're going to bring out our new green apple this year, and nice and tart and sour like a Granny Smith. And then we're going to bring last year's People's Choice back, which is our baked apple pie, and it's totally cider-gasmic. You'll have to come check it out.
Cider gasmic. Oh, man. That's cool. That's fun. All right. And what about from Atomic?
Well, we're going to be bringing out our two of our most popular beers as well. We're going to have our International Proton Pale Ale, which if you stop by the brew pub, we have that on year-round. That recipe was developed over about 20 years ago from our owner, Aaron Burks. We're also going to have our Scram Strawberry Blonde. It's brewed with over 120 fresh strawberries. And every time you come into the pub and you try it, it's going to be different depending on the strawberries, whether they're tart or they're sweet. This batch is a little bit tart and dry, which I like it like that.
Mhm.
So you'll be able to try both those beers out of Untapped.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to try. Ooh, okay. What about the future? What are you looking at when you think about the future for your business or for just craft beers in general?
Well, I hope that it's a continued growing industry, especially around here. I want to. My hope for our community is that our brew pubs become as well known as all the wineries around here. You can do both. I mean, we have the wine tours that stop off at Atomic. They're always a lot of fun. But you know, you can do both, and the more brew pubs in our community, the better. And hopefully, you know, we'll be as well known for our brew pubs as we are for our wine.
I think the future is a blank slate. I mean, who knows where it's going to go? I mean, the amount of cideries in the last year have more than doubled in Washington State. We're over 100 now. So, who knows?
All right. What about you, Russ?
Well,
What about-
I think the future, you know, right now we're trying to grow our package, our stuff that we're sending out to our distributors, our bottled stuff mainly, and locally, you know, it's like, yeah, we definitely want to keep growing that. It's amazing, you know, we have a pretty good following, but there's still a lot of people that, you know, that don't know about us, and so we'd like to get more of those people to drink our beer. And I think the future's looking pretty good, definitely for craft as a whole. You know, they're projecting, you know, I think last year, 2014, you know, is 11% of the market in volume of beer sold, and they're talking about pushing, you know, 15+% by, you know, 2020. And that's what they're talking about. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. You know, it could, but I think the, you know, the sky's really the limit. I mean, in places like Portland, you know, it's 40% of the market share. I mean, Portland, why is Portland any different than here? I mean, I think people are people. They like, you know, they like things that taste good, and I think, you know, the growth nationwide, I think it's going to continue to keep growing.
I think some of it might have to do with people just simply having that opportunity to taste something different than their regular Budweiser. And once people do start tasting different things, then a whole new world opens up for them, I think. I mean, I just have to speak from my own experience, and that's certainly for me as well. Yeah. So this event this weekend is like a perfect setting to taste some of those. What about selling in other markets? At Atomic, do you bottle?
No, we don't. We have a small system. We do 3 barrels, so that's 6 kegs at a time. Our brewer has been very, very busy guy. You know, we continue to get busy, and we're very thankful for that. We do sell growlers, so you can come in and get a 32-ounce or 64-ounce growler. You know, and our hope is to one day get bigger and bottle. And you know, it's one step at a time for us. We've been doing a lot of remodeling. We got a brand new patio that's amazing, with fuel rods in
Oh.
it's nice. You'll notice it. It's bright blue. It's great. But one step at a time, and you know, hopefully we're going to get bigger, better, and stronger. That's a hope for any small business.
Absolutely. What about the two of you? How do you, the other two, find new markets? How do you sell your stuff outside of the Tri-Cities and people just coming in for a sandwich at the same time? How do you do it?
Oh, it's a lot of time on the road.
Is it?
We've got 3 states covered border to border, and I've got 7 more states that we're working with distribution in. And you know, we're headed to Colorado next week, and the week after that will be in Nevada. So a lot of travel time, but it's fun.
Well, what do you do? Do you take your beer and have people taste it, or I mean, how does
Yeah.
that work?
Yeah, you go out and sample it just like you do here in town. You walk into restaurants, walk into bars. Here, try
Oh.
this. You know, fight for handles, and you know, get your product in grocery stores. Our staff, we've got a gal that's really good on the grocery store circuit, and she's just absolutely amazing at getting us placements in these chains all over the country.
Mhm.
And you know, we're just doing it. You know, I've got the best team behind me that I could ever ask for.
That's great. What about over there at Ice Harbor?
Well, we've got our beer in Seattle and Portland, and our local distributor covers, our King Beverage covers from from Ellensburg to here to I think Walla Walla and Yakima. We also have Northwest Oregon, and as far as us going out and selling it, we really haven't been doing too much. It's been doing okay so far, but you know, if we had to, you know, put the time and effort to kind of push it more, I'm sure we'd probably do better.
Mm-hmm. All right. I want to give. I'm going to give you my phone number again here, folks. It is 547-8726. If you have a comment that you want to offer about craft beers, or if you've got a question for any of these folks, we'll be sure to take your call on the air. I want to give each of you an opportunity maybe to share some information of something that we haven't talked about so far, but you think is still valuable for people to know about this industry of craft beers. What would that be? Who wants to go first? Go ahead.
You know, there's so much that this entails. You know, for us, I think for all the viewers or all the listeners out there, you know, check out your local places and go try some new places. You know, we've got some great brew pubs in the area, as well as all over Washington and Oregon. This is going to continue to be a big market, and you know, we're really glad that we're part of it.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm glad you are too. All right.
Oh,
Dan?
as far as like the local economy, and I can tell you that it's not just breweries and hops that the craft brewing industry is, you know, contributing to the local economy. There's a manufacturer, Mean Manufacturing over in Pasco. They are one of the main manufacturers for bottling machines for breweries that are probably 10,000 barrels or less. It's kind of the gold standard for a machine. I have another friend that's, you know, being employed by the craft brewing industry. He's building malt mills for, you know, kind of these really small breweries that are starting out. There's a lot all over the place. He's kind of designed a really nice malt mill that's not as nearly as expensive as the big ones that you get. So there's all sorts of jobs. You know, not only in hops and in breweries, but there's some other jobs being provided around here.
Added to the economy, like
Yeah.
that. All right. What about you, Dan?
Well, it adds to the economy, and all those are great points, but it adds to you know, the treasure hunt for people, the entertainment value of going out and exploring and finding something new. Either it's the next perfect beverage that they want to enjoy on their anniversary, or it's you know, this was the table for a proposal or whatever. You know, there's so much romance, and there's, you know, so much fun to be had in exploring the beverage industry for all the beverages.
I agree totally. Carly, Dan, Russ, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time here today and informing us about craft beers. And here's the deal. If you are thinking about going to Untapped Blues and Brews, up next, we're going to hear from the event organizer, and I'm sure he's going to put you over the edge, and you will want to go. All right, be back in a moment here. We've invited Al Holman to join us today, talk about Untapped. He's the live events coordinator for Town Square, And I know I drug you away from your setup
I was
over there.
setting porta potties.
Oh my gosh, you're
It's a
kidding.
beer event, no porta potties, no good.
Well, you should be
Well,
pretty
but-
grateful I got you out of that job
Well,
for right now.
And we got porta potties, and we got inside bathrooms too. It's just we want to make
Yeah.
sure everybody's comfortable.
Oh, that's a good idea. Good idea. You know, I don't know about the rest of you, but if you've ever seen a event coordinator on the eve of an event, they're usually running around crazy. You don't look too crazy right now.
Well, 3 decades doing this will temper your attitude a little
Is
bit.
that it?
Yeah.
All right. You know, how many years has Untapped been going? Untapped Blues and Brews?
This is the 19th year. It's the second year that Town Square's been involved, and
Wow.
we're so pleased that we've taken that event, and we're in the process of keeping a great event and making it even better.
It's a Tri-Cities classic. Been around a
Yeah,
long time.
I see Town Square as the rescuer.
Well, there was a point last year where Dave Nichols, who's the gentleman that we purchased the event from, just got to the point where it wasn't going to happen. And when that happened, Lon Martin, who works here at the station, said we should help these people. And we were able to work it out. Dave was great to work with last year, and we've now added more to the event, and we're just going to make it bigger and better as we move on.
All right, for folks that have never been to Untapped, give me some of the basics of it. Where is it? When is it? What happens there?
The Untapped Blues and Brews Festival occurs over 2 days in 2 different venues. The first day is today, Friday, May 8th, and it happens at the Clover Island Motor Inn, there on the Columbia River. It's a fabulous backdrop to be looking there, having a great old time, and there's the band,
Oh,
and there's
yeah.
the Columbia River, and you look up, and there's the cable bridge. It's wonderful. It starts today at 5:30 down at Clover Island. You can buy the tickets in advance or at the door for $20. And the headliner tonight there is the amazing Too Slim and the Tail Draggers. If you love slide guitar, if you love some great blues, you got to come down and see Too Slim. But not only that, we got Lloyd Jones and the Struggle, and that starts out with our friends from just over the border in Oregon, Wasteland Kings.
Oh, okay. Well, you're a good describer. I feel like I gotta be there.
And they got food and they got drinks, and
Yeah.
it's a great time.
Okay. What about Saturday?
Saturday is the Benton County Fairgrounds there in Kennewick, and we start at noon, and we start with our 2 new stages this year. With our new stage, so we have 2 going this year. We'll start out with a really cool band on the new stage, which is the country rock stage. A band called No Hope with a kid named Logan Wallace is a talent that we found out from one of our air staff there in Yakima. And Logan is an amazing, aspiring young artist, and people need to come out and see a chance to see some great young talent, and we go from there as the date goes on. We've got great bands like Junkyard Jane, and we've got Brothers Ride, which is a great country act. We've got Third Date. We've got Massey Ferguson, which is a country group that can rock it out and have a little bit of Americana to them. Then we've got The Village from Yakima, who does a great music. We had them at our summer series up there called Downtown Summer Nights, and they just rocked 4th Street there in Yakima.
Wow. So there's a lot going on.
Oh, not
so-
only that, there's a whole bunch of blues acts too.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You got Teresa James and the Rhythm Tramps.
please.
You got Hot Wired Rhythm Band. You got Joan Nemeth, who's absolutely wonderful. And then that starts out there again with a couple of friends from over the border with a band called Rubberneck that starts at 12:15 there at the Benton County Fairgrounds.
You're doing all this without any notes. So you've memorized all this stuff.
He's the
Well,
hardest working
but-
man in the building.
Yeah.
But this morning when I did the TV interview at the 5 o'clock hour after being up late, I did get one band name wrong.
Oh, just one. All right.
Yeah, I know.
For me to be comfortable there, should I be bringing my own chair?
You know, we have and we have seating around and picnic tables and that kind of stuff. But if you're not a dancer and want to move around and that kind of stuff, yeah, we allow you to go ahead and bring in a chair. That's not a problem. We don't allow coolers and outside stuff because we've got some outstanding food vendors. If you're in the mood for beer, barbecue, and music, there is no place to be within 200 miles than the fairgrounds in Kennewick tomorrow.
All right. Al, I know you'll be there, and I hope that we've encouraged more people to come based on your description today. All right. Thanks so much, Al.
Not a
Good
problem.
luck tomorrow.
And we'll see everybody at Untapped.
Absolutely. All right. We're back in a moment here. We're going to wrap up our first week on the air. Come back. Well, you can see what I've got on my mind this Friday afternoon. It's beer, isn't it? John and I have really enjoyed adding some of this. There's so many songs that have beer in them that we just came up with just a few. John, I wanted to, I don't know if it was 30 years ago. I started in media at the noon show on TV. Is that incredible? At Cap TV, and it also aired down here on KView. That was 30 years ago, and now here I am doing another show that happens at noon. Life is a funny, funny circle, isn't it?
Things come full circle.
All right, here is my just a thought for today. I want you to call your mom. Hey, if your mom's alive, mine isn't. But if your mom is alive, give her mom a call this weekend. Even do it right now. Just looking ahead to the weekend, just to thank her. The other thought that I have about it is that, it really does take a village to raise a child. So maybe you've got some other people in your life. Aunts, grandparents, neighbors even. I mean, people that were significant, kind of played a mom role. You could thank them too. That'd be nice. They'd appreciate it. Now, I want to tell you what's coming up on Monday, because Monday, you're going to think that all I care about is sex, alcohol, and weed. Well, that's not the case. That's not the case, but coming up Monday, we're going to talk about marijuana. And we're going to focus, very narrow focus, we're going to look at Prosser and find out some of the issues, what's happened in Prosser, if anything, because Prosser is the only community in our region here that allows for the legal sales of marijuana.
Altitude, the store
Yeah.
out there, yeah.
So the owner of the store is coming in, and we're also going to be talking with Prosser's police chief and Prosser's mayor. We'll find out if there's, has crime increased at all as it relates to having legal sales. We're going to find out just some antidotes. What are the customer? Who are the customers? I mean, what are their ages? What are their backgrounds? Where are they coming from? Of course, they're not taking any surveys or anything, so it's kind of an off-the-cuff look. And from the mayor's point of view, we want to find out about money. A lot of people think that they're collecting all this tax money and Prosser gets that money. Is that true or not? So those are the things that we want to find out about on Monday when we focus on marijuana.
And that's going to be very interesting because there's just been a plethora of information. Is the state making as much money as they said they would? How difficult has it been for the owner of the stores? Because they had to go through some significant hoops just to get an opportunity to get one of the stores. So this
Yes.
is going to be a very unique perspective.
I've never visited the store. I mean, I really feel like I should go and take a look at it before we talk about it on Monday, but I probably won't get there. So we'll let the owner of the store describe that to us, but I think it's going to be very interesting. So this is Friday and the 5th day of our show here, Beat in the Middle with Christine Brown. Let me tell you folks, I have had so much fun. Truly, I'm not sure when this has ever been this great. I'll see you on Monday.